Alright, so the night is closing in and the mosquitoes are out, so I'm getting ready to call it a draw for the day. But I got a fair amount done. Got the new plastic up over the top, I got the dome off, I got the hole in the center. I covered the walking area, the entry foyer or vestibule or whatever you would like to call it. And then I went ahead and put a strip that drops it down just a hair further. It can flow in the breeze if it wants to, but it'll make it just a little bit closer to the door height, which is what the intent was. So that way it'll not drip down into the door if we have sideways rain. I left the front open in case there's wind. It has to have a place to get out instead of tearing all the plastic. And I put a wall up here with just the plastic sheeting to prevent wind from getting in underneath of this A-frame and lifting up all this. I still do have to make a valley. I'll show you that when I come back out. But the interior hole is now open. You can see from time and pulling and whatnot that the fabric of the yurt was actually not covering the hole. So I had to cut fabric off of this side that was covering the hole, and this side over here, it was stretched beyond the hole. So now it's covered, so that won't be an issue. I found infiltration spots. There was actually a snake right here that was up on the inside coming down towards the wall, scared the snot out of me, so I poked him with a stick a few times, this stick, and he got out and disappeared quick. It was another one of those northern black racers or North American racer. But yeah, you can see all over the place where water was coming in. And now that should no longer be an issue. Because at this point, the only thing that's not covered is the vertical surface. And that's part of what I'm gonna head scratch as I'm walking around. This stovepipe also needs to be replaced because as I was going around, and even right here you can see it's rotted through. You can see daylight, and that's supposed to be an elbow on the other side. So that'll have to be replaced. I think there's a couple of pieces out there. But yeah, so I made a couple of transition points where it goes from the lower to the higher just by making the single unseamed sheet wrap around. So with the remaining string that I find, and/or if I have to go buy some more, since I'm using a lot of string for stuff like that for the greenhouse thing, what I'm going to do is right where that valley is between that part that was existing and the part that I put on, I'm going to run a string down it just to make a crease where that valley is. And I don't really think it's necessary, but if I do it, it'll likely be helpful. And on this roof I left openings, so I put additional pieces on. The thought again is so that if wind gets in for uplift, the wind has a place to escape. However, if next time it rains when I come out here, if it shows that rain is coming in, then I'm just going to put a bead of silicone between those two layers of plastic, and then that'll make it stop. It'll be a single seamless piece at that point. But yeah, so it was a square piece which made big triangles, and I went around the perimeter. I tied a new string, very, very tight and taut, very, very tight. I actually brought the top of the yurt inwards, and tucked this in, and then cut around the perimeter for a somewhat consistent line. You can see where the existing fabric is like not, it's no longer straight, and it's just in bad shape. And there's insect infiltration I'm gonna have to spray all this and then cut the pieces off that are touching the soil. The thing we don't want to have is have this touching the ground. So areas like this, where it looks like he was letting the chicken go underneath of the yurt, I mean, those are just, I mean, come on, we can't do that. It's like a tent, so it has to breathe. So all these things are going to come off, all these little decks and whatnot are going to disappear. I'm going to shave everything down, I'm going to pull off the chicken wire, and I'm going to make it as open as possible for this thing to breathe. And then with this one right here, I'm going to center it on this opening. So that way when you come out the door, it'll be there in front of you. And left and right, I'll make it symmetrical with this opening. Because unfortunately the door is not symmetrical with the opening the door is not symmetrical with the vestibule that I made, because structurally the door was not put in the center. So there's these two pieces that go down on the door relatively centered. But on the outer pieces, you have this guy that's only like 12 inches away, and then you have this guy that's like 23 inches away. And since this wood is so weak, I had to go off of 4 members. And since I went off of 4 members, that means that the door is off center. So it's the way it was built. I think this might have been the first one that he ever built. So, you know, whatever. It doesn't look that bad. And centering up this thing and stuff like that's going to make the difference. I mean, maybe I can put a little window area using some clear plastic next to the door to make this be one big opening, and then it will be centered. And that's actually not a bad idea, because it could use more light in there. This little tiny window is not enough. And by the time we cover this up with that skylight thing again, which is tinted, it's going to be really dark in here again. So these are the types of things I'm trying to prepare myself for in regards to tomorrow. So I guess tomorrow I'm looking at tying the string over that for the valley and deciding on whether or not I'm going to go with white plastic for the outside of this thing. The roof is white and that's enough. There is some gray plastic, but you can see whatever's going on. It needs help. It needs help bad. And the briars and the weeds and the animals and the bugs and stuff were just coming in, because all this was this thick all up in and on this thing. So it's no wonder this is rotted, because it's only canvas. But you know, I mean, back here I wasn't quite as worried about making the line be perfectly wonderful. And then where the plants are, I was trying to work around them, and I think I'm gonna just end up making them small, and then after I make them small and get air underneath of this thing, then when they grow back next year it won't be quite as big of a deal. But I tapered it off a little bit for where the stack is going to be, and you can see the stack is pointing downhill, which is, I mean, there's just so many things wrong, but it goes by and then it comes up on this side similar to the other side, symmetrical to the opening but not symmetrical to the door. So hopefully that wind block will work. I'd imagine it will. If we get super gusto winds, nothing's gonna matter. But again, just like with these seams, I can put a bead of caulk to make it be a solid piece instead of a wind vent. Up here where these overlap and fold in over that string, that's all I'd have to do, is just put a bead of caulk between those two pieces of plastic and press them into each other, and then there'll be one piece of plastic. And realistically, I'll probably do that anyway because of insect infiltration, which is another issue with the way that this was designed here. And the door doesn't fit the hole anymore because it wasn't cut properly, which is the first thing, which means this door stop doesn't touch the top of it. I mean, it's just compounded issues. So I'm gonna have to take the door off the hinges, make it fit the hole. That'll be the first thing, and then I'll see if I can adjust this or get some super thick weather strip or something, so that way it touches the top, and that way when you close the door, it's closed. But yeah, there's stuff in here that's in need of some TLC, so I'm gonna give it that. And I guess that's it until tomorrow, guys. So tomorrow this should look different again. I'm hoping it's not going to look white. But if I start to put up the gray, then it doesn't look like it's going to be long enough. I guess maybe I could go left side, right side. Left of the door, right of the door. And then it could be gray instead of white. This is translucent gray. I think that would look pretty good, being translucent gray. So it'll look more like a building with a white roof. And a building with a white roof is probably going to look more on purpose than what's here now, I'd imagine. So, yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do. Otherwise, have a good night, y'all.